You ever notice how airports always hum a little different before sunrise? Like the building itself knows secrets it ain't ready to spill. That's the vibe at Reagan National when Major General Ava Richardson gets flagged at security. She's got a calm you don't learn, you earn it. 2 tours in Afghanistan, a Bronze Star, commanded over 60,000 troops. And yet here she is, stripped of all that, standing barefoot on cold tiles, while a TSA agent with shaky authority waves a wand over her afro like it's a weapon. Ava doesn't flinch. She's used to rooms full of men underestimating her, uniform or not. But it's not the wand or the pat-down that gets to her. It's the way the younger agent, a fresh-out-of-training white dude with too much gel in his hair, leans into the mic and says, "Possible threat. We're gonna need a supervisor." Threat. It hits different when you've worn a uniform longer than the kid's been alive. Ava keeps her face stone still, but something in her jaw twitches. The woman with the clipboard, the one who clocked Ava the second she walked in, watches it all unfold like she's just waiting for the general to pop off. Give her a reason. But Ava's too seasoned for that. She knows this dance, knows the steps, knows the setup. The crowd behind her is growing. People with roller bags and earbuds start to shift, eyes flicking toward the randomly selected woman in a leather jacket and combat boots. A man in a navy hoodie mutters figures under his breath. Another takes out his phone, not overt, but not hiding it either. The phone lens always finds the black woman who doesn't comply. But Ava isn't just anybody. She isn't just some middle-aged woman with a calm vibe and a scar above her left eyebrow. She's a damn war strategist. She clocked the exit routes before she hit the first checkpoint. She knows which guards are bluff and which ones carry real authority. And the agent in front of her, bluff. He gestures for her to step aside. Ava raises an eyebrow. Just one. "Son," she says, voice smooth as bourbon, but twice as strong. "Do you know what a DD-214 is?" He blinks. No." She smiles. "You just flagged a retired Major General of the U.S. Army. That's 60,000 troops. Nuclear clearance. I've been to 5 continents, 3 combat zones, and the Pentagon twice this month. You want to keep this going?" The woman with the clipboard steps forward now, voice tight. "Ma'am, this is standard protocol." "No," Ava says, voice low now, sharpened steel. "This is profiling wrapped in standard protocol, and I'm done playing along." A beat of silence, then another. The agent's face starts to crack, nervous sweat forming. A voice buzzes in from his earpiece. "Stand down." Clipboard woman's face drains of color. The earpiece agent stutters. You can go, ma'am." But Ava doesn't move. "You got a name?" she asks clipboard girl. Silence. "That's all right," Ava says, pulling out her phone. "I got your badge number." A single tap and the camera's on, screen facing forward. "Say hi to IG Complaints and the Pentagon Press Office. They've been bored lately." Now the terminal really wakes up. Phones rise like a sea of judgment. Eyes lock on. Whisper turns to murmur. Someone in the back mumbles, "Damn, that's Ava Richardson." Clipboard chick stiffens. You can't film us." "Actually," Ava says coolly, "in a federal facility, when I'm not under arrest, I absolutely can. And I just did." She picks up her boots, still barefoot, and walks off with the grace of someone who's walked over hot sand under enemy fire. No need to look back, because by the time the agents figure out who she really is, a different kind of heat starts rising. Emails ping, phones ring, a statement gets drafted, and somewhere deep in the TSA's legal office, someone is already whispering the words, "Public relations nightmare." Ava never breaks stride. She's not mad. She's focused. This wasn't a scene, it was a message. And the world just started listening. You know that kind of guy who needs a badge to feel taller? The one who couldn't bench press a backpack but walks like he's Rambo reincarnated? Yeah, Agent Callahan is that guy. He's built like a bloated thumb and smells like Axe body spray and authority issues. And unfortunately, he's working the TSA checkpoint at Reagan National the same morning Major General Ava Richardson is just trying to catch a flight. This man is on a trip. And not the kind that ends with a window seat and Biscoff cookies. He's drunk on tiny power, bloated with the confidence of someone who's never had to be accountable. And today, he's got a target. "Step aside," he says, voice flat, but sharp enough to scratch. Ava's already been flagged once. She knows the drill. She's calm, boots off, jacket folded. But this guy's got the smirk, the one that makes her fingers twitch just slightly. "You traveling for business or pleasure?" he asks, not even pretending it's a genuine question. His eyes are already narrowing, already hunting for a crack in her story. Ava levels him with a look. "Neither." Callahan blinks. "Excuse me." She speaks again, calm and clipped. "It's personal." That should have been the end of it. But he can't let it go. Not when she's calm. Not when she's unbothered. That's the part that gets to men like him. Women like Ava. Black, confident, unshakable. They don't fold. And that pisses him off. "You got another form of ID," he barks. Ava, still cool, slides a second card from her wallet. Her military ID. The one with the barcode and the emblem and the name. Major General Ava L. Richardson. Ava. He looks at it, then scoffs. "Oh, come on," he chuckles, turning the card over like it's a damn playing card. "This looks fake as hell." A hush drops like a guillotine. Even the agent next to him glances over, eyes flicking between Ava and the ID. But Callahan? Nah, he's on a roll now. He's on a roll. "You expect me to believe you're a general?" he snorts. "What, they just hand those out now?" Ava doesn't flinch. Not a blink, not a twitch. But her eyes, bro, they go Arctic. That's not anger, that's ice. That's a storm with no thunder. Just the kind that comes in silence before it hits like a damn freight train. She says nothing, because Ava knows exactly what this is. Callahan keeps yapping. "You know impersonating military personnel is a federal crime, right? Should have you in cuffs for this little act." At that, Ava moves. Just an inch. Just enough to shift her weight. Her stare sharpens. Controlled. Calculated. Dangerous. "Callahan," says the younger TSA agent beside him, voice suddenly unsure. I think we should check that ID in the system before he embarrasses himself. Before he pisses off a literal war hero." But Callahan ain't listening. He's too far gone, all ego and bias, and that brittle masculinity that cracks under pressure. "Don't need to check, this one's bluffing." And that's when the supervisor shows up. Her name tag says Rodriguez. She walks fast, phone still in hand, eyes already scanning. "We got a flag?" she asks, then sees Ava, sees the ID and freezes. "And Agent Callahan," she says slowly, "what's the problem?" "This woman presented a fake military ID," he says proudly. Rodriguez takes the card, looks at it once, twice, then at Ava, and her face shifts real quick. "Sir," she says through clenched teeth, "this is a confirmed military identification. A high-ranking one." Callahan frowns. "How do you—" "Because I've seen her before," Rodriguez snaps. "She's on the DoD clearance list. You just insulted a retired major general." Dead silence. Ava finally speaks, quiet, deadly. "Would you like to continue this conversation," she says, "in front of your union rep or the Pentagon's Office of Public Affairs?" Callahan's mouth opens, closes. His face goes red like a slow-boiling kettle. Rodriguez swallows hard. "General Richardson, I apologize on behalf of our team. You're cleared to proceed, right now." Ava steps forward, ID tucked calmly back into her wallet, eyes never leaving Callahan. "Thank you," she says, "but I'll be filing a formal report." And then she walks. No drama. No yelling. Just a controlled burn in her wake that Callahan will feel when his inbox lights up with formal complaints, mandatory retraining, and maybe a brush with the consequences he's dodged for years. Because see, that's the thing about power trips. Eventually the road ends. And today, it ended at Ava Richardson. So here's where it stops being annoying and starts being a problem. Ava's standing there, calm, collected, and in complete control. But TSA agent Callahan? Oh, he's spiraling, his ego's bruised, and now he's trying to flex harder. Like, that's gonna fix the fact he just tried to humiliate a literal war hero. The air's different now. Thick, heavy. You can feel it humming under everyone's skin. "Call for backup," he says into his mic like he's cracking some secret code. His voice is sharp, clipped louder than necessary. The kind of volume that's meant to be heard. Ava doesn't move. She just raises one brow. Like, really? This is where we're going with it? Rodriguez, the supervisor, hesitates. She's already clocked Ava's credentials. She knows the storm coming. But Callahan? He's a man on a mission. He thinks if he makes enough noise, he won't have to answer for what he's already done. So when two more agents roll up, vests tight, hands twitching like they're expecting a scene, it becomes clear this dude has no idea the mess he's stepping into. "We need to conduct a full pat-down," Callahan announces, like he's declaring war. In public view. Let that sink in. A decorated black woman, a former major general, is about to be groped in the middle of an airport while a line of sleepy travelers and business-class elites sip overpriced lattes and pretend not to stare until they do. Ava exhales slowly. Controlled. She doesn't resist. But her chin lifts a little higher. Her jaw sets just a little tighter. You could cut glass with the way she's holding herself together. Because she's been through worse. Way worse. And she'll be damned if she gives this clown the satisfaction of seeing her crack. The gloves come on. The pat-down starts, and the phones. They start recording. One by one. Click, swipe, record. Someone gasps softly nearby. "Isn't that the general from CNN?" A teenage girl whispers to her mom. Mom blinks, leans in, squints at Ava, and pulls out her phone faster than you can say, "Career-ending mistake." Another guy, hoodie half-zipped, holds up his phone with one hand and starts Googling with the other. "Yo," he mutters, showing the screen to the woman next to him. "She's legit, like real legit, commanded tens of thousands, spoke at the UN." The murmur spreads like wildfire, like blood in the water. This isn't just a random passenger anymore. This is news. This is "you screwed up so bad it's trending" territory. A few people step closer. Not to intervene, not yet, but to witness. To get it on camera. This is the digital age, and injustice doesn't die in silence anymore. It gets 1.2 million views and a hashtag before lunch. Callahan's hands twitch. He sees the shift, feels it. But it's too late to walk it back. He's in it now, up to his neck. And the worst part? Ava still hasn't raised her voice. Not once. Because she doesn't have to. She's got the crowd now. Rodriguez steps in, face flushed, voice lower this time. "General, I'm so sorry. This wasn't supposed to happen like this." Ava finally speaks. "It never is," she says. Quiet, cutting. The kind of sentence that slices a man's legacy down to ribbons. The pat-down ends. Gloves off. Phones still up. People shifting. The line's no longer orderly. It's charged. Someone calls out, "Let her through." Another echoes, "This is what y'all doing to veterans now." A TSA rep by the window turns away from his desk, eyes wide. "Oh shit," he mutters when he sees the phones, when he sees her. Too little, too late. Ava puts her boots back on slowly. No rush. Lets the moment breathe. Lets the shame settle over the ones who earned it. She grabs her bag, stands tall, and locks eyes with Callahan one last time. "You forgot the first rule of power," she says. Callahan blinks, confused. Ava gestures slightly toward the crowd, toward the dozens of lenses, the whispers, the heat building in the room. It only works if no one's watching. And now, everyone's watching. It was bound to happen. The way pressure builds in silence, how dignity held too tightly starts to crack. Not on the outside, but deep in the chest where the heat lives. Ava Richardson had held her tongue through profiling, mockery, humiliation. But everybody's got a line. And Agent Callahan? He stomped right over it in steel-toed ignorance. Phones were still out, cameras still rolling. A whispery storm buzzed through the terminal. Passengers had moved from passive curiosity to open judgment. But Callahan, man's ego is bulletproof in all the wrong ways. "You people always think the rules don't apply to you," he sneers, loud enough to bounce off the walls. "You people!" He says it like a punch, like an insult passed down from his granddaddy's porch in 1964. He spits it with the confidence of a man who's never been checked by anyone who didn't have to answer to him. And that's when Ava snaps. Not violently, not like they expect, but like thunder. Controlled, precise, absolute. Her voice cuts the air. "You're about to find out exactly who I am." It's not a shout. It's a statement. Like a sword drawn slowly across velvet. The air goes still. The kind of still that warns of an incoming storm. Callahan opens his mouth, but nothing comes out. Because now, he's seeing what everyone else just realized. He's not in control anymore. A ripple moves through the crowd. "That's General Richardson," someone says. "Major General, retired, full honors." A woman near the front gasps, "Wait, The one who helped coordinate the Kabul evacuation. Yup, the hoodie guy from earlier nods. And she just got accused of faking her ID by this clown. Someone whistles low and sharp. Damn. Callahan steps back. Instinct, not grace. Before he can say anything else, 3 airport police officers push through the barrier. Not TSA, not agents. Real uniform, real authority. Their expressions are already tight, already calculating. One of them, Officer Patel, nods directly at Ava. Ma'am, he says, steady. We're here to assist. Are you okay? Ava doesn't break eye contact with Callahan. Not yet, she says, but I will be. Patel turns to Callahan. Step aside, right now. Callahan stutters. She's being uncooperative. She raised her voice. She's a goddamn war hero, one of the other officers snaps. And you just embarrassed the entire agency in front of half the terminal. Phones are everywhere now. Like 100 digital eyes catching every micro-expression. TSA reps nearby suddenly look very interested in the floor. Rodriguez looks like she wants to disappear. Callahan steps back again, mouth twitching, throat bobbing like he swallowed his career, and it got stuck halfway. Ava steps forward. Let me be crystal clear, she says, voice booming across the terminal. I served this country for 30 years. I bled for it. I buried friends for it. I stood in the goddamn Pentagon the morning after 9/11 and didn't blink. She turns slowly, addressing the whole terminal now. And I will not be treated like a criminal because a man with a badge and a bias didn't like the look of me. Applause. It starts with the girl from earlier, then her mom, then others, passengers, bystanders, even one of the junior TSA agents clapping low and fast. Callahan's face is pale, sweat beads at his temple. For the first time, he looks scared. Escort him out, Officer Patel says. Wait, what? Callahan sputters. You can't. Actually, Patel cuts in. We absolutely can. 2 officers guide Callahan away as the crowd parts like judgment itself. Rodriguez, frozen, finally speaks. General Richardson, again, I apologize. I'm not interested in your apology, Ava cuts in, still loud, still public. I'll see you and your department in a formal inquiry. I want names, training logs, complaint records. Rodriguez swallows hard. Ava turns to Officer Patel. I'd like a written incident report filed before I board my flight. And I'd like a direct line to the Department of Homeland Security. I'm done playing nice. Yes, ma'am. Ava collects her things, straightens her jacket, stares directly into the nearest phone lens. To anyone watching, she says, this is how you respond when they try to erase your worth. With clarity, with force, and with truth. She walks toward her gate. No more silence, no more patience. The general has entered the battlefield. And this time, she's not leaving quietly. You ever watch a man realize he just screwed himself on a national level? Like, the exact second he figures out the name he's been disrespecting all morning is the kind that makes generals stand at attention and presidents send handwritten thank you notes. Yeah, that moment, it's nuclear. The terminal's still buzzing. Ava Richardson standing tall, boots laced, jacket sharp, and surrounded by a slow-moving crowd that smells blood in the air. TSA agent Callahan's been escorted out, but the fallout's just getting started. And then it happens. One of the junior agents, maybe 22 tops, finally types her name into the system. Not the fake spelling Callahan wrote down, but her actual name, the way it reads on her DoD-issued ID. Major General Ava L. Richardson, U.S. Army, retired. The search result pops up, full dossier. Medals, clearance levels, career highlights. She's been to more war zones than this kid's been to brunch. The agent stares at the screen like it just called him stupid. His face drains of all color, jaw slack. Then he whispers, real low, oh shit. Too late, the damage is already global. Calls go out fast. One to the terminal supervisor, one to TSA command, one to the airport director's office. The ripple becomes a wave in under 10 minutes. People in suits start sprinting through the terminal like they just realized the building's on fire. Meanwhile, Ava, still calm, still collected, still waiting. The teenage girl from earlier is now FaceTiming her cousin, like, bro, I was right there, that's her. That's the CNN general. Another guy tweets a blurry photo with the caption, TSA just profiled an actual war hero. America, y'all ain't slick. It hits 10K retweets in 20 minutes, and then the motherlode drops. Some genius with decent Wi-Fi finds Ava's official army portrait, the one where she's standing in full dress uniform, stars on her shoulders, medals like armor, chin up like she's carved from granite. They post it side by side with a still from the terminal. Left hero, right how we treat our heroes. It explodes. Within 30 minutes, news vans start pulling up outside the airport like it's the damn Super Bowl. MSNBC, CNN, local affiliates. Boom mic operators hustling through security. Reporters fixing their hair in the reflection of vending machines. Supervisors start arriving at Gate 14 looking like they just sprinted through their own nightmares. There's sweat. There's stammering. There's a dude with a lanyard and a Bluetooth headset repeating the words optics and containment like a prayer. One of them, a guy in a crumpled blazer, who clearly makes six figures to panic in situations like this, approaches Ava like he's about to confess to a crime. "General Richardson," he says, voice cracking, like puberty came back for a sequel. "We deeply regret the misunderstanding." "Stop." She doesn't shout. She doesn't even blink. Just says it with that battle-hardened finality that makes grown men reconsider their whole career path. "You ran my name," Ava says. "After the humiliation, after the escalation, that's not regret, that's cleanup." He stutters. "If there's anything we can do to—" "Yeah," she says, cutting him off clean. "You can prepare a statement, because the press is here, and they're not here for me, they're here for you." Across the room, phones keep rising. Reporters crowd the windows. Microphones point like weapons. A camera flash catches the light in Ava's eyes. She doesn't shy away. She leans in. This is no longer about a security checkpoint. It's about exposure. It's about systems cracking under the weight of their own rot. And Ava? She didn't start this fire. She's just making sure nobody dares put it out. And by nightfall, her name? It's on every channel. By sundown, the whole country knows what happened at Gate 14. News chyrons flash her name like it's breaking news every hour. Retired Major General Ava Richardson humiliated at TSA checkpoint. The photo of her standing stiff-backed in the terminal, surrounded by agents and onlookers, is now immortalized on Twitter, IG, TikTok. Hell, even LinkedIn's getting spicy. And what does TSA do? The most corporate, watered-down, legally scrubbed press release you've ever seen. "We regret any misunderstanding during routine security protocol and have reached out to the individual involved to express our apologies. TSA remains committed to upholding safety procedures with respect and professionalism." Translation: oops, but not really. The internet ain't having it. Thousands of comments, millions of views, and the hashtags. Ava Richardson deserves better. This is not respect. Full uniform, full respect. Meanwhile, Ava, silent. No tweets, no press conferences, no Instagram Live. Just silence. The kind of silence that makes reporters itch. Until 8 p.m. Anderson Cooper. Primetime. CNN. That iconic, cool blue background. And suddenly there she is. Ava Richardson, sitting across from him like she's been waiting her whole life to say what's coming next. She's not in uniform, she's not in tactical gear, she's in a sharp, clean black blazer. No medals, no badges, just her. And yet she's got more presence than a five-star general walking into a war room. Anderson, ever composed, leans in. "General Richardson, first off, thank you for joining us. I have to ask, why now? Why speak out today?" Ava doesn't blink, doesn't smile. "Because I'm done being polite," she says. That one sentence, instant wildfire. She goes on, measured, precise, but every word landing like a hammer wrapped in velvet. "I've spent 3 decades of my life defending a country that often doesn't know what to do with women who look like me. I've commanded troops in hostile zones, de-escalated international threats, stood in rooms where life and death decisions were made. But somehow, I was still treated like a suspect in the airport of my own country because a man with a badge decided he didn't like what authority looked like on a black woman." Anderson lets it breathe. He's good at that. He knows when the moment's bigger than him. Ava continues. "This wasn't about a security procedure. This was about humiliation. This was about power. About how systems enable people like that TSA agent to feel invincible when they're dead wrong." She leans forward just a bit, enough to let the country know she's not just venting. She's planning. "I'm not here for revenge," she says. "I'm here for accountability. I'm here because if I was treated like that in full daylight, on camera, surrounded by witnesses, Imagine what happens every day to people without a camera, without a uniform, without a name. The internet breaks. Clips of her interview go viral before the segment even ends. People are screaming in the comments. She's not just talking, she's leading. She just said what Black veterans have been feeling for years. And Ava? She's not done yet. When Anderson asks her what she wants to happen next, she doesn't pause. I want every TSA training program in this country reevaluated. I want oversight. I want every incident like mine reviewed. Because mine's not the first, it's just the one that got caught on camera. And then, for the knockout, and I want Agent Callahan to lose his badge. Boom! End scene. No filter, no sugar, just facts and fire. By midnight, Anderson's segment has more replays than a Super Bowl touchdown. Ava Richardson's name isn't just trending, it's anchored. And somewhere in a dim office in D.C., a group of very nervous federal officials is realizing that Major General Ava Richardson is no longer playing defense. She's running the whole damn mission. By the end of the week, Ava Richardson isn't just a trending name. She's a movement in motion. Her face is everywhere. News clips, headlines, podcast thumbnails, Instagram reels with fire beats underneath her sound bites. Everyone wants a piece of her, and Ava. She's not ducking the spotlight, she's steering it. She's not just doing the media tour. She's going on a reckoning tour. First up, MSNBC, Prime Hour. Rachel Maddow across from her, nodding thoughtfully as Ava breaks it all the way down. Not just about what happened at the airport, but about the culture that made it possible. You know what's wild, Ava says. I served under 4 administrations, sat in security briefings next to men who couldn't find Kabul on a map. But the second I take off the uniform and walk through an airport like a regular person, I'm a suspect again. Not because I'm a threat, but because I'm Black. That's the truth. And people are eating it up. The clip hits TikTok in 15 minutes. Quote gets auto-subtitled and slapped on a black background. A uniform doesn't protect your black skin in America. It hits 2 million views by the time she's on her second show. Next stop, ABC Morning Show. The hosts are chirpy, the coffee's fake hot, but Ava, still ice, still focus. She adjusts her mic, looks into the camera, and says calmly, "There's something fundamentally broken when a system that trains people to spot danger can't seem to see humanity. What happened to me wasn't a fluke. It was the system, working exactly how it was designed, to challenge, humiliate, and dehumanize Black people first, and ask questions never." The audience is quiet. One host tries to pivot. "General Richardson, have you spoken directly with TSA leadership?" Ava smiles, just barely. "They've called, I haven't answered yet." Boom. That clip? Instantly clipped, captioned, and reposted with the fire emoji. Ava's not here for apologies. She's here for reconstruction. But then it gets real spicy. Because Fox News calls, and Ava goes. Everyone's like, she's not going on Fox, is she? Oh yes, she is. Because Ava doesn't dodge hard conversations. She drags them into the light and makes them squirm. They try to come slick. "So, General Richardson," the host says, smile tight, voice trying to stay cool. "Many Americans feel incidents like this are being exaggerated for political attention. What do you say to people who think this was just a misunderstanding?" Ava leans back, hands folded, calm like she's seen this scene before. "I'd say if your comfort depends on me staying silent about injustice, you're the problem." The host chokes slightly. "But don't you think—" She cuts him off, not rudely, sharply. "Let's not pretend this is new. We've been talking about profiling, about systemic bias, about racial injustice in this country for generations. You only call it exaggerated because the evidence is finally going viral." That interview gets flipped by Black Twitter so fast, they might as well have had a template ready. One user tweets, "Ava Richardson just walked into the lion's den and made the lion apologize." Another writes, "We are witnessing the birth of a new civil rights icon in real time." And you know what's wild? People are listening. Not just the usual liberal corners. Suburban moms are tuning in, veterans are reposting, young Black kids are quoting her in TikTok skits. Political analysts are whispering that she's got the presence, the clarity, the fire of someone bigger than a soundbite. Late-night hosts crack jokes about how TSA's PR team must be melting. But even they drop the punchlines quick. Because this story ain't funny anymore. This is America facing its own reflection. And Ava Richardson? She's holding the mirror steady. No flinching, no apologies, just truth, spoken loud enough to break the silence. By the next morning, the government's in full scramble mode, like ants under a magnifying glass. Callahan, placed on administrative leave, which is federal speak for, we're hoping this all blows over. But nah, Ava Richardson didn't just light a match. She cracked open the fuel line. The official statement hits press wires by noon. TSA does not tolerate discrimination in any form. Agent Callahan has been placed on leave pending investigation. Cue the internet's collective eye roll. Because at this point, the world knows. There were cameras, there were witnesses, there was receipts. This ain't an internal matter anymore. It's public, loud. And Ava, she's got the mic now, and she's using it. Not to bask in the headlines. Not to collect a few high-profile interviews and disappear into military retirement. No, she's here for reform. At a live press event held on the steps of the Veterans Memorial Plaza in D.C., Ava steps up to the podium in a simple black trench coat. The wind catches her curls just enough to look cinematic. And her voice? Clear, sharp, unbothered. Administrative leave is not accountability, she says. Callahan wasn't a bad apple. He was the result of a rotting system that treats black bodies, especially those in uniform, as suspect by default. She pauses, then lays the hammer down. I am calling for a full, independent federal review of TSA profiling practices, specifically the treatment of black veterans and service members in transit. Because if the people who fight for this country can't even walk through an airport without being dehumanized, then what the hell are we even fighting for? The silence afterward is thick, and then the applause starts. Not from reporters, from the crowd that had quietly gathered behind the barriers. Veterans, families, activists, even TSA employees in civilian clothes. Some of them hold signs now. Respect our vets. Black uniforms, black skin, same fight. Ava speaks, we listen. Meanwhile, federal brass is sweating behind closed doors. Internal memos start flying. Names are whispered. Old complaints are dug up. Whistleblowers start coming forward. Turns out Ava cracked the surface, and underneath it, a hell of a lot more than one man with a badge and a bias. She doesn't just want Callahan gone. She wants policy rewritten, training overhauled, data released, accountability institutionalized. And she's not playing cute about it. She tells NBC Nightly News, "You don't get to apologize and move on when your system's been profiling people for decades. You fix it, you own it, or you step aside and let people who will." That soundbite hits every platform. Politicians start tripping over themselves to issue statements. Civil rights organizations slide into her inbox with offers to collaborate. Even a few former TSA officials speak up, off record, but real. She's right, we've seen it. We just didn't have her platform. And Callahan, he's radio silent. Because when the spotlight swings your way and you've got nothing but ignorance to stand on, you disappear. Meanwhile, Ava's already working behind the scenes. She starts organizing meetings, veterans groups, legal analysts, policy reform specialists. It's not just about TSA anymore. It's about every space black veterans are profiled in. Courtrooms, hiring processes, housing applications. She's connecting dots that were always there, just ignored. Because Ava doesn't want a headline. She wants a system built with no room for bias to hide. And the nation, finally, is listening. The floodgates don't open all at once. It starts with a ping. Late one night, Ava's phone buzzes with a DM request on her public profile. She doesn't check those often anymore. Too much noise. Too many messages ranging from thank you to stay in your lane. But this one, it catches her eye. At TSA Annan 458. "Ma'am, you don't know me, but I've worked for TSA almost 5 years. I'm a black officer. You're not the first. What happened to you wasn't random. There's a pattern. I have proof. I just didn't know who to send it to until now." Ava stares at it, reads it twice, and replies with just 2 words, "Show me." Within an hour, the documents start coming in, redacted, carefully masked, but real. A spreadsheet buried deep in a shared drive labeled something bland like HR Inquiries FY 1722. It lists dozens, no, hundreds of internal issues. And when Ava starts sorting it, there's a pattern so obvious it's offensive. Black travelers, flagged more often. Pat-downs disproportionate. Higher frequency of escalations against passengers of color, specifically veterans. But that's not even the worst part. Attached are PDFs of formal complaints submitted by Black TSA employees, not just passengers. Staff, officers who spoke up, called out their supervisors, pointed out racist conduct, suggested changes. Most of them, status, resolved internally, translation buried. Ava picks up the phone immediately. She calls her federal liaison, and with that same sharp, clipped tone she used when she coordinated military ops, she says, "We need to schedule a hearing." "Under what grounds?" they ask. She doesn't blink. Whistleblower testimony. The next day, she reaches out to the anonymous TSA officer again. "Would you be willing to speak?" There's a pause. Then, "I want to, I'm scared. If they find out it's me, they'll kill my career." Ava replies without hesitation. "Then we protect you. You testify anonymously. I'll sit next to you, and I'll make sure your voice is the one they have to hear." 3 days later, in a quiet federal building in D.C., the hearing begins. The room isn't packed, but it's watched, live-streamed, monitored. The media's leaning in. Congress is now paying attention. This isn't just a PR issue anymore, it's a policy crisis. The young TSA officer, voice disguised, face pixelated, reads from a printed statement with hands that tremble, but a tone that grows stronger with every line. "I watched Agent Callahan get praised for being assertive. I watched a black family miss a flight because someone claimed the mom's wig needed further inspection. I flagged it. I reported it. Nothing happened. If you speak up inside TSA, you get ignored or punished. That's not just racism, it's retaliation." A hush falls. Ava, seated beside him, doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. Her presence alone is pressure, a reminder. They can't brush this away anymore. Later, after the testimony, the whispers start. 2 more TSA agents reach out. One says she was suspended after filing a report about her supervisor's jokes regarding black hair and Muslim headscarves. Another says there's video footage of an officer mocking a veteran's prosthetic leg during a search. Every file, every message, every whisper, Ava collects them all. This isn't just about her incident anymore. It's a pattern, a culture. And now, there's a paper trail. Ava stands in front of a growing folder. Real names, real cases, real rot. And she doesn't feel overwhelmed. She feels ready, because the system that tried to break her just handed her the receipts to burn it down. You knew it was coming. That cold, predictable backlash, wrapped in whispers, slick with fake concern, dressed up like balanced journalism. The moment the system realized Ava Richardson wasn't backing down, wasn't accepting a half-assed apology or fading into retirement, it did what it always does when a black woman gets too loud, too respected, too right. It fought dirty. First came the leaks. Anonymous DHS sources whispering to select journalists about her past deployment orders. One headline read, "Critics question General Ava Richardson's command decisions in 2012 Kandahar Opai." Critics? Who? Nobody asked that 10 years ago when she was getting medals for it. But now that she's demanding federal reform, suddenly, her record's up for debate. Then came the think pieces. "She's brilliant but combative," one former colleague claimed. "Hard to work with, always thought she was the smartest person in the room." Another one called her unapproachable. One even dared to say she played the race card too easily. They started throwing around the usual hits. Difficult, emotional, but not a team player. And that's how you know they're scared. Because they're not arguing with her points. They're arguing with her existence. She doesn't even flinch when the stories drop. She sees the headlines and smirks. "Ah," she mutters to her assistant one morning, flipping through the news on her iPad. The phase where they try to burn the house down instead of fix the wiring. She's not surprised. This isn't new. This is Chapter 3, in the manual they hand out when powerful women stop asking nicely. They can't erase her credentials, so they try to smear her character. Can't debate her facts, so they question her tone. Can't beat her logic, so they call her angry. But Ava? She's already 10 steps ahead. She's spent her entire career outmaneuvering men who underestimated her. She's strategized through live fire and foreign policy briefings. This is just noise. So she leans into it. She shows up on PBS NewsHour with calm precision, says they don't want to investigate the problem, They want to assassinate the messenger. That's not new, that's not personal, that's just cowardice. She drops a guest essay in The Atlantic titled, "You Can't Gaslight a General." It trends for 3 days straight. Meanwhile, her support explodes. Veterans groups, racial justice orgs, former service members who'd never even heard her name are now emailing her with full-throated backing. Retired brass she barely knew are calling. Not all of them public, but plenty off the record. Even a former Secretary of Defense quietly sends a one-line message. Don't stop, they're panicking. Ava knows what this is. It's not resistance to her demands. It's fear of what happens if she wins. Because if the public starts asking questions about her mistreatment, they'll start asking about everyone else's. About the silent vet who got strip-searched in Houston. About the Muslim Marine flagged 6 times in 1 month. About the elderly black woman in Atlanta forced to remove her wig at the gate. This isn't just Ava's fight anymore. It's an audit, and they know it. So go ahead, she thinks. Leak what you want, twist what you can. Because for every whisper in the shadows, she's got a microphone in the spotlight, and she's not going quiet. At this point, it doesn't feel like a scandal. It feels like a slow detonation. Controlled, deliberate. Like Ava Richardson is setting charges along the foundation of a building everyone swore was unshakable. And now, she's got the receipts. It starts like a whisper. Another encrypted message, another anonymous email, another. You didn't get this from me. But what lands in Ava's secure inbox isn't just gossip or speculation. It's proof. Leaked internal emails, TSA HQ, subject line, RE, incident metrics sensitive. Buried in that thread is a spreadsheet that makes Ava stop mid-sentence. Over 200 flagged reports of racial profiling incidents in just 2 years. Patterned, geographically spread across 10 major airports. And every single one marked, reviewed, no further action. Some are absurd. An 84-year-old Tuskegee airman pulled aside for behavioral screening. A triple amputee vet forced to stand during a pat-down. A black female Air Force pilot strip-searched after presenting her DoD credentials. Each one red-stamped. Procedurally justified. Ava reads through every single one. She highlights. She categorizes. She builds a dossier so tight you could bind it and drop it on Congress's desk with a thud. And then she holds the press conference. Not from a podium, not in a news studio. She books a space in front of the National Museum of African American History and Culture. The sun cutting through storm clouds behind her like a spotlight. The media's packed in, every network's there. Even the ones who tried to spin her as emotional. And when Ava steps to the mic, she doesn't bring fire. She brings frost. 212, she says. No hello, no small talk, just that number clear and sharp. That's how many times in 2 years the TSA internally flagged potential racial profiling and chose to do nothing. Silence. The reporters blink. This isn't speculation. This isn't anecdotal. These are their own emails, their own data. Buried, suppressed, ignored. She holds up a binder. Black cover, gold lettering. Simple. The files. A reporter shouts, "Where did you get that?" Ava's mouth twitches, not quite a smile. From inside the house. Then she shifts gears. Like a war general delivering a battlefield briefing. She breaks down stats like troop movements. 48% of complaints involved black travelers. 61% of those involved military personnel. Of those, 92% were marked resolved without documentation. That's not a bug in the system. That is the system. It's quiet, not because they don't believe her, but because they do. They buried it, she says. They buried us. And now we're digging it up. Reporters rush forward. Questions fly. Will you testify before Congress? Do you believe this goes all the way to DHS leadership? What are you demanding now? Ava pauses, looks straight into the lens. I want independent oversight. I want a full audit of TSA's profiling practices, going back 10 years. I want training overhauled, complaints reopened, settlements reevaluated. And I want names. Another beat. And if they won't give us that, I'll take this whole file and deliver it to every newsroom and every committee in this city. Boom. Within the hour, the files becomes a trending hashtag. Release the files like TSA exposed black vets deserve better. And Ava. She walks off that stage like she's marching into history. No flinch, no fear. Because now the country doesn't just know what happened to her. It knows everything. It was only a matter of time before the gloves came off. Because the moment Ava Richardson stopped being a headline and started becoming a threat, the game changed. She wasn't just a symbol anymore. She was a problem, a force that refused to quiet down, refused to negotiate truth for comfort. So the system did what it always does when cornered. It got ugly. First, it was subtle. Her sister, a schoolteacher in Mount Vernon, called her one night with shaky breath. Some guy was parked outside the house, just sitting there for hours. No plates, just idling. Then her nephew, 11 years old, noticed the same black SUV driving slow behind his school bus, twice. Then it escalated. A journalist from a progressive paper, one who'd just written a glowing profile on Ava and requested an interview with whistleblowers, texted her at 1 a.m. Someone just told me off the record to drop the story. They knew where my daughter goes to school. WTF is this? Then Ava's phone glitched. Contacts vanished. Emails she knew she'd sent were gone. Her calendar reset itself overnight. It didn't feel random. It felt tactical, calculated. And that's when it hit her. This wasn't scandal territory anymore. This was operation-level targeting. Good, because that's her zone. Ava Richardson didn't survive Kandahar by folding under pressure. She didn't earn a chest full of medals by being soft. You don't lead black ops units and run security logistics for 60,000 troops without learning how to sniff out a threat in the dark. So her instincts clicked in, not panic protocol. She called in favors, old contacts, quiet ones. Within 48 hours, her phone was rerouted through a secure, military-grade encryption app. Her home got private surveillance installed, motion detection, plate readers, heat signature flags. The kind of setup that says, I see you watching and now I'm watching back. Then she reached out to that journalist, told her flat out, you're not crazy, you're being warned. So now we do what we always do, shine more light. She gave her the rest of the files. All of them. If they want to scare us into silence, they're not going to like what happens when we raise the volume instead. Then she went public. Again. Except this time, not at a press podium. She sat in her living room, no makeup, hoodie on, iPhone propped up on a lamp, and recorded a video straight to her followers. No frills, no script, just the truth in Ava's voice. I'm being watched. My family's being followed, my phone's been tampered with, and I want you all to know, I expected this. This is what happens when you threaten a system that's been hiding in the shadows. But I've fought actual wars. I've buried friends who died for this flag. You think a few scare tactics are going to make me run? She leans in. I'm not scared, I'm focused. That video? 6 million views in 24 hours. Veterans start rallying. Former intelligence officers tweet her with messages like, we believe you, and we've got your 6. Activists pull up receipts of other whistleblowers who went through the same thing. Senators start asking for closed-door briefings. This wasn't intimidation anymore. It was confirmation. Ava wasn't just rattling the cage. She was exposing the people who built it. And they just reminded her why the cage needed to burn. They gave her 8 minutes. 8 minutes to condense a lifetime of service. A year of public humiliation. And a mountain of systemic rot into a statement that wouldn't just make headlines, but make history. And Ava Richardson came in ready to detonate. The congressional hearing chamber was packed, standing room only. Veterans, reporters, advocates, federal watchdogs, and enough press to make it feel like the Super Bowl of reckoning. The placard at her seat read, Major General Ava L. Richardson, returned U.S. Army. But the room already knew who she was. Half the country knew who she was. The chair banged the gavel. This committee convenes to address allegations of systemic racial profiling within the Transportation Security Administration and Department of Homeland Security. We welcome testimony from our witnesses, starting with General Richardson. She didn't stand, she rose. Military posture, black suit, eyes like ice, voice like steel. Chairman, ranking members, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I do not come here seeking sympathy, I come demanding accountability. Dead quiet. You could hear staffers stop typing. I served this nation for 31 years, she said. In that time, I commanded tens of thousands of troops, briefed presidents, and defended the Constitution abroad. But it wasn't until I walked through Reagan National Airport as a retired black woman that I realized the battlefield I should have been preparing for was the one right here. The room held its breath. On that day, I was profiled. I was humiliated. I was treated like a threat, not a citizen. And if that can happen to a decorated general in broad daylight, imagine what happens to those without medals, without cameras, without names that trend. She paused, flipped a page, and then she surgically dissected the system, stat by stat. 212 internal profiling complaints in under 24 months. 61% involving travelers of color. 48% of those involving veterans. Every single one dismissed internally. Not investigated, not acknowledged, just buried. One congressman on the panel shifted, clearly sweating. She caught it, didn't flinch. You can't reform what you refuse to name. And what we're dealing with here isn't a few bad actors. It's policy through inaction. It's bias with a federal badge. Some members scribbled notes furiously. Others just stared, stunned. Even the Republican from Texas, who came into the hearing ready to accuse her of grandstanding, sat back and muttered, "Damn," under his breath. Ava wasn't emotional. She wasn't fiery. She was precise. Like a military op briefing. No fluff, just truth sharp enough to make people bleed. "I am not here asking for apologies," she said. "I am demanding that Congress mandate an independent audit of TSA conduct and culture. I am demanding a whistleblower protection framework for federal travel agents. And I am demanding that Black veterans no longer be treated like potential threats in the country they fought to defend." The chair cleared his throat. "General Richardson, your time has elapsed, but frankly, if the committee wishes, we will extend it." Everyone nodded. Nobody blinked. She closed her statement with one final seismic line. "I was trained to identify threats to this country. And I'm telling you now, what's happening inside TSA isn't just a civil rights failure, it's a national security risk. Because any system that treats its defenders with suspicion will eventually destroy the trust it's built on." Boom. Room silent. Then, applause. Quiet at first. Then louder. Then rising, spilling over the formality like a breach in protocol. And yeah, some of the committee members tried to keep their poker faces. But you could see it, in their eyes, in their posture. She made them look. Made them feel what they'd spent years pretending not to see. And afterward, the press didn't chase the politicians. They chased her. Ava Richardson left that chamber not just as a witness. She walked out as a weapon, and the system, it was finally shaking. Capitol Hill, buzzes like a hornet's nest, just got cracked wide open. And for once, it's not empty noise. The headlines are thunder. The halls of power are shaking. And at the center of it all stands Ava Richardson, steady as hell, watching the system she dragged into the light start to fracture. Because this morning, the TSA chief just resigned. Gone. No press conference. No, "I want to spend more time with family." Just a quiet, frantic letter submitted at 3:47 a.m. And by sunrise, his office door was already locked from the outside. And that was just the warm-up. By noon, the DOJ drops a bombshell. 2 TSA agents, both involved in at least 5 profiling complaints each, have been federally indicted. Civil rights violations, abuse of authority, tampering with reports. One even tried to scrub body cam footage from a secondary screening room. Spoiler, he failed. The internet loses it. Ava was right, on trial, systemic bias unmasked. But Ava, she doesn't gloat. She shows up, live, in uniform, on the Capitol steps. The same place politicians have tried to dodge accountability for years. But not today. Today, the sun hits her medals just right. That gold gleam on her chest isn't just decoration, it's proof. She didn't earn them for sitting pretty. She earned them surviving war zones, navigating diplomacy, commanding troops under fire. And now, she's commanding the nation's attention. A microphone shoved in her face, cameras clicking, press leaning in like they're about to witness a verdict. "General Richardson," a reporter yells, "with the resignation and indictments, do you consider this a victory?" Ava lifts her chin, her eyes unflinching. "No," she says, voice echoing off the marble columns. "This isn't a victory, this is an opening." A pause, that Ava pause, the one that holds weight like a heartbeat before battle. It's just the beginning. Boom, straight, unshaken, delivered like a damn mission brief. Behind her, staffers from the Oversight Committee are already drafting new accountability measures. Federal agents are combing through surveillance archives. TSA regional offices are panicking, reassigning supervisors and rewriting protocols like that'll undo the rot. But Ava knows better. This isn't about 2 agents or 1 chief. This is about an entire infrastructure built on fear, assumptions, and the ability to hide behind procedure. So she lays it out plain. There are more names coming, more cases, more silence to break, and I intend to be there for every single one of them. The clip hits every major network in under an hour. CNN calls it a moment of reckoning. MSNBC dubs her the quiet architect of federal reform. Fox tries to frame it as a dangerous precedent, but even their viewers are commenting, she's not wrong though. And the DHS, they blink hard. They launch a formal federal investigation, bipartisan, televised, and for once with actual teeth. Internal audits are ordered. The TSA is officially under civil rights scrutiny. Ava's name is now inked into the record books, not just as the woman who stood her ground at Gate 14, but as the spark that lit the reform fire. And as she stands there, cameras still flashing, sun gleaming off the very metals Callahan once mocked. She doesn't smile. She locks in, because systems this big don't crumble in a day. But today, one wall just fell. And Ava? She's already eyeing the next one. The storm has passed, but the sky's still crackling. Reforms don't roar like headlines. They land quieter, like blueprints after the blast, but make no mistake, the walls moved. In less than 4 months since Ava Richardson stood tall at Gate 14 and refused to stay silent, the country has shifted beneath her boots. TSA reform package passed. Every screening zone in America's 430-plus commercial airports. Mandatory high-definition camera coverage, audio included. All flagged searches, digitally tracked, reviewed, and stored for audit. And the kicker, third-party racial bias assessments, quarterly, public and mandatory. The old guard tried to call it overreach. The usual voices cried political correctness, but none of it landed. Not anymore. Not after the tapes, not after the testimonies, not after her. They offered Ava everything. A seat at the federal table, a Homeland Security cabinet position. Hell, someone floated her name for a potential VP slot in 28. She smiled politely, then said thanks, but no. Because Ava doesn't want a title. She wants impact. And so she built her own damn battlefield. Project Sentinel, a nonprofit with bite, not just branding. Launched from a modest DC office, but fueled by the momentum of a movement. Its mission: to protect, support, and advocate for minority veterans facing discrimination across any system wearing a badge. Housing, healthcare, federal employment, air travel. It doesn't matter where the injustice lives. Ava's team is coming for it. Legal teams, policy watchdogs, mental health referrals, peer networks, a 24/7 hotline staffed by vets who've been through it too. This ain't a charity, it's a shield. And veterans are signing up fast. Y'all, see what Ava's doing. She's building the thing we needed back in '02, one Marine posts online. Another tweets, first they silenced us, then they denied us. Now we got Ava. Let's fucking go. The launch day livestream pulls 6 million views. She keeps the speech short. We shouldn't have to fight for dignity after we've fought for our country. But if we do, I'll fight right beside you. Boom, done. Meanwhile, the old system limps away in silence. Callahan, still awaiting sentencing. TSA, in the middle of the biggest internal restructure since 9/11. The DHS oversight report reads like a confession letter stapled to a fire alarm. But Ava's calm, not resting, just grounded. She walks through her office one night, walls covered in maps, vet photos, and sticky notes with bold black names. Each one, a story, a life, a future they're trying to protect. Her assistant asks, "Don't you ever get tired of pushing?" She looks over, chuckles once. "Tired? Hell yeah." She pauses, but stopping was never the mission. Outside, DC glows under a quiet moon. Across the country, airports are rewiring their cameras. Policies are being rewritten. And somewhere, a young black soldier is watching Ava on their phone, thinking, maybe, just maybe, they won't have to fight this alone. That's the real victory. And Ava, she's just getting started. It's months later. The headlines have cooled. The hearings wrapped. The cameras turn toward the next crisis. That's how it goes. Outrage is loud, but memory is lazy. But inside Reagan National, the air feels different. Subtle, but real. New signs hang near every checkpoint now. This area is monitored by independent audit. Discrimination has no clearance. No more hidden corners. No more routine pat-downs that just so happen to single out the same kind of bodies. The watchers are now being watched. And on a quiet afternoon, while the terminal hums with layovers and luggage wheels and pre-boarding calls, it happens. A girl, no older than 13, maybe 14, hoodie, braids, wide eyes, alone but standing tall. She gets waved aside, just like Ava once was. A flash of tension crackles in the air. The girl stiffens, like she's been taught this moment could go sideways. Like someone already warned her to be calm, be respectful, don't escalate, just breathe. She holds up her passport. The agent, mid-gesture, catches something. Maybe it's the way she doesn't flinch. Maybe it's the expression. Maybe it's the awareness in her eyes that says, I know this game. And I'm not playing it. He pauses, then waves her through. No questions, no extra scan, no delay. Just respect. And behind the tinted glass of the observation booth, Ava Richardson sees the whole thing. She's there for a meeting. Just another oversight walkthrough, another unannounced drop-in. No press, no podium, just quiet verification that the system's still holding. And as that girl disappears toward her gate, Ava stands still, eyes soft. Then the smile. Small, barely there, but real. Because she knows what just happened wasn't luck. It was work. It was scars. It was noise turned into policy. It was 1,000 sleepless nights. And one too many reminders that even uniforms don't shield blackness from suspicion. But now, that girl doesn't need to know all that. She just needed to walk through, and she did. Ava exhales, slow, like releasing tension she's carried for years. Not because it's over, because the moment held. And sometimes that's what legacy is. Not a statue, not a speech, not even a law. Just a child getting to move through a world a little easier than you did. Mission accomplished for now.